tuning in for this week's segment of Triangle Empowered, where knowledge is power. Now, March is Women's History Month, and we're celebrating all month long with her story. Her story is a celebration of Black women for their many accomplishments and contributions to the world. Now, today we have Miss Beatrice Dixon. How you doing? She is the
Hi.
founder of Honey Pot. The Honey Pot is the world's first plant-based cinnamon care line. Now, today, Ms. Dixon will use her story to inspire us to write your story. So, tell us your story. We want to know how you got started and some of the hurdles you faced and how you were able to overcome them.
First off, hi, Miss Jodi.
How you doing?
It's nice to see you.
It's
I'm
great to
good.
meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Maybe some of that entrepreneur spirit will rub off on me so I can tell my story down the line.
Miss Jodi, it's. I hope it does too, if that's what you want. Sometimes I think I'm a little crazy for choosing this. This line of work, if you will. But really, my story is kind of like between 2011 2012. I had an almost year-long bacterial vaginosis infection that I could not get rid of. I was, I was doing everything that you can imagine, going to the doctor, taking medicine, going on Google, buying everything at the store, probably making things a lot worse than I was making them better, you know? And, but one morning I had a very vivid dream with my grandmother. And my grandmother, I've never physically met her because she transitioned when my mother was very young. But in the dream, her and I were just sitting down at a table talking, and she handed me a piece of paper, and it had a list of ingredients on it. And she told me that this was going to solve my problem. And basically told me to repeat what was on the paper. Like, don't try to talk to her, just pay attention to what's on the paper. And that's what I did. And I just kept repeating it. And then when I woke up from the dream, which didn't feel like a dream, it was crazy. When I woke up, I wrote down what she told me. Within a couple of days, because I worked at Whole Foods at the time, I was able to pull together those ingredients. And I made myself a formula out of what she told me to make it from. And literally everything that I was dealing with went away within 4 to 5 days. And so that's really the story of how I got started into the feminine care business. It was basically because of the issues that I was having with my own vagina. And it feels good, Miss Jodi, to be able to say that in an interview. You know what I mean? Some may see that as a weird thing, uh, you know, because the word vagina isn't the most popular word. However, we're all here because of one, right?
That's right.
And
And
so,
grandma, she reached back and she pulled something from who knows our ancestors, or
exactly,
we come
yeah,
from royalty. So she might
exactly,
have had the ingredients back then from passed down from generation to generation.
right, exactly.
So what are some of the hurdles you face to over? What did you do to overcome them?
People always ask me that question, and that's a hard one for me because when you're an entrepreneur, you know, it seems that when your company starts to grow and you start to have resources and you start to have a team and all those things, that you don't necessarily still have the hardships, right? That you don't have the things that are going to come in and you didn't even expect them. So we've had challenges all along the way. In the beginning, the challenges were like, how do I get this out of my mind and into a bottle, right? And now they're just a little more sophisticated. But I think that the key um, to getting through the challenge is the want and need to get through the challenge, right? And to not let the challenge be the thing that stops you, because nothing should stop you, right? Um, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it. You know, but challenges, no matter what they are, they're absolutely going to come. It's just literally what's your perspective on how you look at them, and what are you willing to do to get past it or not do, you know?
To overcome them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts regarding the disparities in the venture capital world regarding Black female entrepreneurs and funding?
I think that, I mean, look, with the creation of the New Voices Fund from Richard Lou Dennis and the family, with the creation of a lot of funds from, you know, from some of the biggest venture capital firms, private equity funds, you know, hedge funds, right? There's so much capital that is out here at this point for people of color and for women of color. I just don't see those disparities. The disparity is going to be there. But I think that we are entering into a time where those disparities will, I don't want to say that they'll go away, but I think that we are making headway on what on something that had a much bigger disparity, like when I was raising capital, for instance, right? So I think that we're filling the gaps, but also know that that's going to take time. You know, that there has to be businesses or companies with business models that focus on high growth, that focus on scale, and that focus on exit, right? Venture capital requires that, right? Most of the time, a venture capitalist or a private equity fund, you have to have an exit strategy, right? Otherwise, how will they get their money back, right? So, but there's a lot of education, there's a lot of accelerators, there's a lot of conversation around this. So I think that we are entering into a new time, you know, where there will be less disparity. Um, I'd like to raise the vibration and have a different conversation. I don't want to keep calling it disparity, right? I want to focus on the positive, and I want to focus on the light that's happening right now. And I just think that, you know, I think that things will change.
At times they are changing. They are
Yeah.
definitely changing because you got more women that are entrepreneurs now that we've ever had in the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, actually, the leading humans that are starting business, like the highest, when you look, if you're going to take race, I mean, humans are humans to me. But if you're going to look at race, um, Black women are actually leading the pack and have been leading the pack for a while on what's happening in the startup world, you know. Um, and many of my friends are business owners. Many of my friends are selling products in stores or getting ready to, or, you know, so I just know that we're kind of in this new era of what business looks like, especially what Black women business looks like.
Because women control the money in the household, so they know how to budget that money, manage that money, and and make things work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us about the day that you quit your job. What was the feeling like? Did you say, you come in for everybody cake and say, hey, I'll do this and whatever? What did you do? What did you do?
Nah, it wasn't like that at all. I just put in my notice. you know. For me, it was for me it was I I I didn't make a big deal about it, you know, but you would have to know me to understand that that's just my personality. Um, for me, the whole point was to quit my job. So the fact that I was quitting my job wasn't really extraordinary. It was what I was building towards, and when that time came, I just did it and just kept it moving, you know. So I literally just put in my notice and let them know that, that I just couldn't keep living a double life, because that's what I was doing. You know, I was working a 40 to 60 hour a week job that required 3 to 4 weeks of travel. And but I was also running a business, and we had gotten into Target and were well into Target for a few months before we were able to raise the amount of money that we needed to raise so that we could quit our jobs, you know. So for me, it wasn't I'm grateful for the day that it happened, but that was always the plan. And the way I operate and move is I try to keep my ego in check. And that's not to say that I don't celebrate the wins, but the plan is for the win, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, nothing to celebrate. This is just par for the course. This is just
Yeah,
what it
it's
takes.
part of that strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were on Shark Tank and could give your opinion or advice to help an aspiring entrepreneur, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, if I was on Shark Tank and I was to give them advice, I guess it would depend on what I was giving the advice on. Can you be a little more specific?
Just in general, you know,
It's honestly, Miss Jodi, like, I think one of the things that entrepreneurs do, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is not taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be firing on all cylinders to do this type of work. You really, really do. You know, you want to be thriving mentally, physically, spiritually. That doesn't mean that you have to be really religious. That doesn't mean that you got to sit down and meditate for 30 minutes a day. You know, but there does need to be a sort of awareness about you and understanding of humanity if you want to be in business, because typically if you're in business, you're serving humanity, right?
Right.
So I if I was to give advice, I would say make sure that you are taking care of yourself, right? Make sure you're eating well, make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're taking, you know, that you're understanding what's going on with your body, make sure that you're taking care of your mind. If you're not happy, try to figure out what you need to do to get happy, right? You know, the other thing, look at your finances, right? Most everybody thinks that a lot of people think that when you start a business now it's just time to raise money. That's not always the case. You gotta figure out how to make money, then go raise money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is you want to have a strategy around how you are going to um, how you're going to take care of your personal finances, right? And that may take 5 years, that may take 6 years, right? That may take 8 years to get your personal finances in order. But it's really essential that you really work hard to organize your life, right? How you live, keep your place clean, make sure that you always have a space to work, make sure you're taking time for yourself, make sure you understand what's happening with your finances, put in a plan to get it to where you're trying to minimize your debt as you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you really just want to have you want to create a space in your personal life where you can just flow, right? So because your personal life and your business life it goes together so much. And if you can just minimize stress wherever you can, right? If your relationship isn't happy, figure out how to get it to where it needs to be or to move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be able to think
And focus.
and focus and execute, and you have to be strong and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have it just requires to do this work, and to do this work while being Black, and to do
Mm-hmm.
this work while being Black and being a woman, right? You really have to really think 10, 20 steps ahead. You have to be a good person. You have to be kind. You don't have to be kind. You don't have to be loving, right? But you'll catch more flies with honey,
Honey,
you
then
know?
with vinegar.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so I would say to figure out where you are within yourself, um, because it matters, you know? Don't only just focus on the money, because the money is cute, it's cool, but like if you're not happy, what's
Mm-hmm.
the point?
What's the point of doing it?
It's silly. Like it's actually quite dumb, right? If you're not happy but you're chasing money, what's the money going to do for you? The only thing money can do is buy you things, right? And don't make me wrong, I love money,
Me too.
but I love
Yeah,
my happiness
and your
more than
health.
anything. Exactly.
Right. So, how can we support your hashtag Happy Period initiative that provides feminine care for underserved women?
uh go to hashtag happyperiod.org, I believe it is, and donate, right? Don't be afraid to, because yes, it's about hashtag happy period, but also hashtag happy period would also, if you didn't want to donate to them per se, you can go to a homeless shelter in your city. You can go to a homeless shelter in your city or in your town, and you can literally like go to the store and buy a pack, buy a case of pads, or or buy a case of wipes or baby wipes, or buy packs of panties, right? Buy These are the simple things that these people don't have access to, that these humans don't have access to, right? They're
Hmm.
not able to change their panties every day, right? They're not able to take a shower every day. They're not able to. They don't have. They can't just run into the store and just grab a pack of pads, right? So doing things as simple as just pulling some resources together, being an advocate, um, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and spend tons of money to donate to any particular organization. It could literally be like taking food to a homeless shelter, taking period pads, taking tampons, taking wipes, taking panties. You know, it can literally be something as simple as that. But hashtag happy period is doing some really, really, really dope work. And you know, because humans with vaginas don't really have a choice. You're gonna bleed every month.
Hmm.
You can't. It's just a function that's gonna happen, right? Um, and it's actually quite sad, uh, that in one of the wealthiest countries in the world,
We have
um,
homeless people, people
that everybody can't
starving to
have
death. Yeah,
access
yeah,
to
and
period care. Advocation can come up in all kinds of ways, right? You can donate to hashtag happy period. You can contact them, and because they have satellite, kind of groups all over the U.S. that pass out period products. With COVID, things have gotten a little bit wonky, but so there's donating. There's literally like buying products from her. There's if you don't particularly want to donate through that organization, there's literally like going and just taking things to homeless shelters. Even if all you had was $100 every 2 weeks when you got paid, or $50, going to that homeless shelter and saying, hey, can I give you this money, right? Like
hmm
a little bit goes a long way, right? All the way down to you're driving and you see a homeless person on the street, right? um you know Everybody's financial situation is different. I'm one of those people, though, whether I have money or I don't, if I've got $20 in my wallet and I see somebody on the side of the street, they got that $20. Doesn't
hmm
matter to me what they do with that $20, because that's their $20 now, right?
Mhm.
And if they're going to do something ill with it, if they're going to buy drugs or if they're going to buy alcohol, that's their business. But I hope that at least they'll get themselves a light meal, right?
Mhm.
If it's a
Right.
woman, I would hope that she would at least get herself something that she needs, right? Um, but my thought process around that is, if I was in their situation, right? Because this can happen to anybody, right?
Mhm.
If I was in their situation, what would I do? How would I feel? Right? If I was in their circumstances, I might would do what they're doing. I don't know. So I just try not to judge. And I think the best way to be an advocate is just to do what you can. And do what you can be $1 to a homeless person on the street, or 5 or 20 or 50, or it could be going to that homeless shelter for women, for men, for children, for whatever it is that you're led to do. You know, everything, a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, we have covered a lot of information, some good things in this interview, and I certainly appreciate your time. You can check out the interview on our Her Story page, so you can watch it over and over again and gain some valuable information that you can use down the road for yourself. And for information about the Beatrice Dixon and the Honeypot products, you can visit their website. It's going to be at the bottom of the screen. And it's always a pleasure, meeting entrepreneurs and sharing that, that spirit and getting things done and reaching back and helping people along the way, like you just mentioned, helping people out. That's what it's all about. So continue. Much success to you.
Thank you, Miss Jodi.
And any last words you'd like to leave our Foxy listeners?
Yeah, be kind to yourself, man. Be kind
Okay.
to yourself and give yourself grace, and do your best.
All right. Thank you, Miss Dixon. And thank each and everyone for tuning in. Triangle Empowered, where knowledge is power. So be sure to join us again next week as we continue telling her story. And hopefully we will inspire you to write your story. Thank you.
Thank you.